Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 241, written by Anon888872. A step through church and time. Alright, so this super weird thing happened to me and my friend the other day. I'm pretty sure it was a time slip, but who knows. So we're walking in Pittsburgh, a pretty big city, and we rounded a corner to walk to a place I had never seen before. It was a little strip of land in between two industrial/city looking vibes with a forest and a church. It was a strip of forest that offered a nice relief compared to the big concrete buildings. Anyway, we walked by this pretty church and saw a sign in front of the church that said, "Celebrating our 80th anniversary." We thought nothing of this, but all of a sudden we both agreed that the atmosphere just felt, for lack of a better word, off. A car drove past us, but it looked really old, and everything around us was super silent. The car didn't make any noise. Whatever, we decided to turn back and start to leave the church. We walked to the staircase to leave the little valley the church was in, where the church was basically out of view. We started walking up the stairs when I saw the anniversary poster in front of the church and had to do a double take. The sign now said, "Celebrating our 150th anniversary," and the atmosphere wasn't quiet or eerie anymore. I said to my friend, "Did that just change from 80 to 150? And she agreed that she saw the same thing. We went back down the stairs to double check we weren't seeing things incorrectly, but the sign still said 150. Still not really sure what happened or why, but it was freaky. Update. I found the church. Okay, forest was a bit of an overstatement, but behind the church they had to not cut down the trees, and compared to the rest of the city, it looked like a forest in my memory. Also, I now have more interesting facts. I looked up the church and it turns out it is 103 years old. I went back to the text I sent the day of the incident, and it turns out I got my days wrong in my recollection. I had seen the sign change from 50 to 90. I think this is even weirder, given that it was 103rd anniversary, not 90. Second, it turns out the school right by it, Carlow University, is trying to demolish the church. I wonder if this was kind of the spirit or universe of the church crying for help. The church is called St. Agnes Center, and I've attached a text message from that day and a link to the article that they are tearing down the church. I've lived in Pennsylvania my whole life, and I can definitely say I've always believed in spirits and supernatural stuff due to all the weird crap and vibes I've grown up with. Case file number 242, written by CaramelWatermelon. Mom's glitchy powers. Family has a pet bird, Kiki, and for the last several weeks, or maybe months, I haven't brought Kiki down to hang out in my room because I don't have a stand for her. She's always in the upstairs room or the porch, and never really down with me in the basement. So finally today, I texted my mom because she wasn't home if we have any playstands for Kiki, and she says we have the black playstand in the cellar. I look around all over for it, which isn't much to scan over because it's a small area and the playstand is very big. I made sure that it was 100% not there because I just knew it would be there when my mom came home. I felt like taking a video on my phone and sending it to her as proof. I really wish I had. My mom came downstairs 10 minutes ago and is like, "It's right here." And internally I died, but externally I tried playing it off cool. I tried convincing her that it was 100% not there earlier. I believe she thinks I'm going crazy. I go in and out of the cellar part about probably 5 times a day. I'm constantly going in there to get to the freezer, and the playstand is right next to the freezer. So if it was down there all along, then I must have missed it hundreds of times, and also again today before texting her. I had a strong feeling it would just reappear, because that is something that always happens. Searching for something, asking your mom for help to find it, and then it mysteriously appears where you checked prior. But I figured that this wouldn't be the case this time because the playstand is just so freaking big. Boy, was I wrong. To add to this, I've also been seeing big bright white orbs zipping across my room. It has happened about 3 times in the past 2 days, and I've never had anything like this happen before. If you're enjoying this video, consider giving it a like. Now on to the next story. Bonus file, written by Hunt Fiona 357. My son, the ghost. There is no other way that I know to say it, because it's just what it is. My son, who passed in 2018, has subtly been making his presence known. He has not appeared in spectral form, but he can definitely move things. I've been struggling with my son's death, as any mother would. He ended his life at 15 years old. But in recent months, I found enjoyment in soap making, of all things. It's a great distraction. Over the last couple of years, there have been things that have happened that give me no doubt of an afterlife, and I'm in awe and wonder. My son's birthday is April 1st. Since his passing, no family member has done anything April Foolsy. It's a solemn day. This year, I went to bed on April 1st, thinking of my son, but I also had soap on my mind. What to make next, am I doing the right thing, etc. When I woke up the next morning, the rest of the household was still sleeping. I then went to the kitchen. The atmosphere felt very peaceful, and I felt the need/urge to go look at my soaps curing on the racks. When I went into my soap room, lying right in the middle of the floor was a bar of soap. This was just so odd. Who put it there? Why? It had no dents, it didn't fall off the rack, which was in a closet about 5 feet away. My husband, older son, and daughter all said they didn't do it, and they were as perplexed as I was. My first thought was that my late son did it. I think he has been easing his way into letting us know that he's still here, in spirit. He's been doing it subtly, so as to not scare us. Previously, my husband one night came to our room and said, "Did you see that?" I hadn't. He said that the flashlight turned on by itself. This is a very heavy-duty flashlight that requires a deep push on the button to turn it on. This was when I thought to myself that my son is trying to make his presence known without terrifying us. My son's father lives with my brother. It wasn't until last month that I went to their house to tell them about this incident. The dad said when he was walking down the stairs a few weeks prior, a dime went rolling past him with nobody else in the area. Then, as I was recounting my story to them, we heard a noise of something falling to the floor from the kitchen table. A flat, square piece of cereal had moved from the table to the floor. I said, "See?" As if it was something normal, but my mind is still numb at all the events. Yay! There is an afterlife, but we know nothing about it until we get there, on natural terms. Case file number 243, written by Celestialslytherin, The Spirit of a Glitch. I, 21 female, was driving down the highway to run some errands in the city. I was alone in my car, listening to the radio. First, I felt a headache and I thought about driving to the rest place to drink some water, but I was in a hurry, so I decided to drive straight to the city. I remember passing a billboard and I was completely alone on the highway. I live in Europe, so driving alone on a highway isn't exactly common, but then and there I was alone, no car or truck in sight. I thought it was strange, but I drove for another kilometer or so, I believe, when someone said, "Celestialslytherin, step on the brakes." I turned my head and I saw a girl, similar to me but with a few distinctive differences, and she was basically looking at me like I'm mad, and then she said again something like, "Are you deaf? Step on the freaking brakes or Grandpa's gonna be super mad." I said something in the lines of, "Okay, geez," and slammed my brakes, and in that moment I was back on a busy highway, only I wasn't driving because there was an accident, which is why other drivers had to move to create space for first responders. So I found myself sitting in my car and her sighing in relief and laughing and saying something like, "Don't scare me like that again." And then she disappeared. I realized that I was really close to the rear of the car in front of me and that the man inside was looking at me like I was nuts, so I apologized because, as I believe, I almost crashed into him. I was probably in shock, so it didn't occur to me to call my mom or dad. But when I came home, I told her the story and didn't really think much about it. Still don't know why. But she went pale, and I mean pale. She told me that when she was still pregnant with me, she always had a feeling she was carrying twins, especially because twins are really common on my dad's side of the family. My uncles are twins, so is my grandmother. And even though the doctors always said she was only carrying one kid, she always said she felt two. I know that this event wasn't a vision, nor did I just imagine it. I remember it fully. I was fully conscious, I basically just accepted her in my passenger seat. I vividly remember all the differences between us and even the clothes she wore. She also mentioned my already deceased grandfather, who was always very concerned when anyone in our family went on a highway. I have two theories. Either I passed, for a moment, to an alternate universe where I have a twin sister, or my mom was actually pregnant with twins, but my sister passed very early in the womb, and I somehow absorbed her or something. And please don't make fun of me for not exactly being a medical expert.